Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today for this special tribute to Jackie Zeman. Everybody here with me loved her very, very much and had the great opportunity to work with her over her 45-year run on General Hospital. We were so saddened by her passing back in May at 70 years old, and we're all still trying to come to terms with it, but we wanted to be here today and come together to talk about Jackie and what she meant to each of us. Please welcome Rick Springfield, who's here while he's on tour with a show tonight in just a little while. I think you're in Aurora, Illinois, Rick, right? Is that where you are tonight?
I'm not sure where I am. Where are we? We are? Aurora, yes, we're in Aurora.
Aurora, Illinois, and he has a new Automatic Rick played Noah Drake on Dr. Noah Drake on General Hospital. Ken Schreiner is here, Scott Baldwin, who's been so amazing to help me put this together. Thank you, Ken. Sam Behrens, such a treat to meet you, who played Jake Meyer on General Hospital. Brad Maule is here, who played Tony Jones. And we've got Tristan Rogers, who plays Scorpio. Thank you all. I wanted to first start and ask each of you what your first remembrance of meeting Jackie was. And I think, Ken, you told me a great story, I believe. It was in 1977 when she came over from One Life to Live. She was playing Lana McCall, and she came over to GH. Do you remember meeting her for the first time?
Yes. They were, I had been screen testing these some Bobbies the night before, and I don't know. And then the next day, this stretch limousine pulls up, and out of the car comes this girl that looks like a young Rita Hayworth, just glamorous movie star. And I said to the wardrobe guy, "Who's that?" I said, "Well, that's your new co-star. That's Jackie Zeman." I said, "Oh boy." And we became fast friends and started hanging out constantly, and then hung out for 46 years. Yeah. So it was I saw her, and I said, "This is going to be a fun ride." So, and it was.
I said Lana McCall. I meant Lana McClain. She played Lana McClain in One Life to Live. And I remember first seeing her back in 1977. She played this villainess on that show. And then she came to General Hospital to play Bobbie. Rick, what was it like for you? You came on in 1981, right? To play Noah?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were this rock star, and you come to General Hospital.
Well, I wasn't really. I mean, I wasn't, known when I came on. In fact, Gloria came to me about 6 weeks later after I'd been on the show and said, "I hear you're also a singer." Said, "Yeah, I'm not doing it on the show, though. I'm trying to keep them separate." But Jackie, the first time I met her was actually, Ken mentioned screen testing, was actually my test in front of Gloria with Jackie. And there was a bunch of guys, great hair, velvet jackets, the perfect. I said, "Oh, okay, one of these guys is going to get it. I don't really have much of a chance here." So I just went in there and read with her, and she was really giving and great and amazing. And I went away and got the part, but based on Gloria saying to Jackie, which do you think should be Noah Drake? And she picked me. So I owe really the start of my career to Jackie.
Unbelievable. I was wondering if she had a hand in the decision of
She definitely did, yeah.
Well,
Gloria told me that herself. So yeah, that's
amazing. Tristan, what do you remember about first meeting Jackie? You came on in 1980, right? To the show?
Yeah. I didn't actually work with her until 1981. And she was actually the very first person who I got to know on the show. And I was approached through my PR agent by this promoter, and he said he wants to use you for a series of personal appearances. And I was kind of a little, on the shelf about that at the time. And I said, "Well, there's got to be somebody else there that can do this." I mean, I just wasn't interested. And he said, "Yeah, there's this other couple on the show, but they don't want to do it." And I said, "Oh, well, who would that be?" Knowing full well who it was. And they apparently had done a few personal appearances, and they hadn't gone well. It turned into a riot. Now, I hadn't been exposed to that side of it yet. And so I said, yeah, I'll do it. And so they said, okay, well, we've got a female in line to work with you on these things. I said, who would that be? And he said, Jackie. So it started. And the very first one we did was in New York. This chain of department stores had booked us for the entire weekend to do appearances. So I said, okay, that sounds good. Little did I know, I had no idea at that point about the true phenomenon that the show was at the time, and even what it would go on to be at that particular point. So we get into this department store, and apparently there's about 3,000 kids outside and about 2,000 inside. They closed the doors and they shut the place down. They trashed the entire department store. They'd stolen about $40,000 worth of stuff, and the whole place was just trashed. So they had this little stage about 10 foot square set up beside a loading elevator. And so the limo pulls into the loading dock, backs up, the motor's running, and that should have been a giveaway right then. So I said, okay, well, now what happens? The guy says, well, you go up in the elevator opens out, and you stand there and sign and talk and answer stupid questions, all that stuff. I said, okay. So the doors open, we go up, the elevator doors open, and it's just this sea of faces, and they all came surging forward, and the promoter said, get them out of here. Boom, done. Back in the, we were on stage 90 seconds.
But you had a good relationship with her right off the bat?
Jackie? Right, yeah. She was so easy to work with and smart. She said, well, look, instead of why don't you do it this way, why don't you set it up like this and have a better PA system, because they can't hear you over this little piddling thing you've got here. And I said, why didn't I think of that? Oh, yeah. But it was little things like that.
Yeah.
He took something good and made it better.
Sam, you came to the show, I believe in 1983 to General Hospital. And what was you ended up, Jake married Bobbie eventually, but what was your first impression of Jackie, and was she helpful to you, or tell me what happened?
Knowing Jackie is helpful. I never heard her say a bad thing about anyone. Where often you work with somebody in there. I remember the first time I worked with somebody, it wasn't Jackie, and Gloria came out on the floor. The words that came out of her mouth were, here comes the bitch. Jackie was never like that. Jackie, like I said, I never heard her say a bad thing about anyone. And I don't have to tell it now, but there is a little story I have to tell before we finish that I think says a lot about who Jackie was. But on to someone else. A failing memory does not allow me to tell you about the first time I met Jackie. But I sure did have a wonderful time working with Jackie, and being her husband, I worked with her a lot and for a long time.
Brad, what was it like for you? You met Jackie. You guys had, as Tony Jones and Bobbie had this tumultuous, there's a lot to that relationship, the good and the bad. What was it like working with her?
Well, it was great, but the first time I met her, I was so intimidated because, number one, she was, beautiful, as we all know, but she was also like the highest paid actress on daytime television, and it's all that stuff. So I expected this, Tamara, I expected this star to, be there. And instead, Jackie was like this earth mother, and she was real gentle and caring and sort of, Brad, you're going to be fine kind of thing. And I remember after we really started working together, I'd be on the set and she'd take me by the arm and kind of move me into my spot, like my mark. And I was like, thank you. And if I didn't know a line, she would say the line for me. She goes, didn't you mean Tony? And I'd be like, yeah, that's what I meant. She was a really neat person.
Tamara Braun has joined us, everybody. Tamara played the second Carly, who was Bobbie's daughter on the show. Tamara, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're busy on the set. Can you tell us about your first meeting with Jackie, or your first impression? Because I know you two were so close, but what was it like at the beginning when you met her?
Oh my gosh. So I was I was on set and they had me go up just to like look at something on camera, just to, you know, I wasn't actually working right then. They wanted to see something like, I don't know, hair or something, outfit. I was standing there and then they're like, okay, all good. And as I walked off, Jackie was standing there and I was like, you know, like, first of all, when I found out, I'm like, oh my gosh, Jackie's going to be playing my mom. Oh my gosh. But there she was. And when I met her, she just came up to me and just said, hi. She said, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jackie. I'm, you know, playing. I was like, oh my God, I know who you are. She was so sweet, so kind. She was complimentary of what I was doing. She said, I've been watching you work. Think you're wonderful. I can't wait till we work together. I mean, she was just the most gracious, kind, loving, down-to-earth, supportive human being. I mean, she's just, you know, from that moment, and she gave me a big hug, you know, like, and I'm a hugger, so I just embraced it. And I remember thinking, she's so tiny, you know, like I had thought, you know, she's larger than life. She was, you know, Nurse Bobbie, and I just thought, oh my God, she's tiny. Her little wrists are tiny, and because she was just, I mean, she had such a presence. She had such a spirit. She had such a big, enormous heart, and I mean, and that just radiated, you know, through this small physique of hers, and she just welcomed me with the biggest open arms, and I just loved her from the minute I met her.
I mean, you said something about Nurse Bobbie. I mean, she was such a part of pop culture. Everybody knew Nurse Bob, like you knew it, because the show was such a pop culture phenomenon back in when Ken, you start back then in the 70s and into it was so part of culture that when she had passed, everybody in the mainstream, it was such a big, you know, I'm so glad that everybody covered that. Rick, weren't you neighbors with her, or were you neighbors with her in real life, or lived near her in real life, Jackie?
What?
Did you live near, you and Jackie were in Malibu or neighbors or something like that?
Beforehand, you mean?
Or later on?
Yeah. I mean, she came on a fan cruise I did, and she was incredibly sweet to everybody with that. Of course, you know, she's, we've done a couple of things outside the show for sure. I mean, she's probably the only one other than Tristan who won't leave me alone. No, that's not true, mate. She's the only one I really saw outside the show, other than Anthony Gary walking around, showing us around Amsterdam at like 2:00 in the morning. But Jackie was the only one I saw, I guess, on kind of a regular basis, other than Tristan.
Did she help you with your act? Because it wasn't your first acting role was GH, right?
Yeah. No, it wasn't, but it was. I was very nervous because it was the first regular part I'd had, and I was frankly desperate for the money, and and I was just nervous because when you walk onto someone else's turf, you know, it's very nerve-wracking. But she was amazing, and I think the first words I said or the second words I said were to her character, walking into the lobby of the hospital. The first was to Steve, and the second was to Jackie.
And what can you say? You know, you had this long-standing, deep friendship with Jackie. Did you guys like would talk about things that were going on in the show? I mean, were you there to support each other through the years, the ups and the downs that you went through? How was that? How did that work between the two of you?
Well, I always hung out with Jackie on or off the show. There was one time, I guess a couple of years had gone by and I hadn't been on General Hospital, and Jackie called me and said, "Hey, Ken, I got to go to an affiliate dinner. Come with me." I said, "Oh, okay." So I went with her, and the network lady, Josie Emmer, came up to me and said, "Ken, would you want to come back to General Hospital?" And before I could do anything, Jackie took my head and said, "Yes, he does." And so, okay. And so she got me back on the show, which was good because, sometimes when you're away from a soap, you're just looking. So yes. And so Jackie and so we were always helping each other out. And I did a play with her, and I did so many appearances, and we did, she lived in Marina Del Rey at some point after Malibu. And so I would go down there, every couple of weeks and meet her for lunch at what's that place over there in the Marina? It's gone now. Chart House. And she had a love for prime rib as I did. So yes, we were always having dinners and hooking up and meeting and hanging out for all the time. So
Well,
yeah.
I remember there was a very beautiful, touching photo. You were at, I believe you had a booth at the Smokehouse where the two of you would.
Yes,
meet up or
she
have
loved to
drinks.
smoke.
She loved, and you toasted her after she passed. And I thought that was such a beautiful thing to share.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That was really
Wasn't
sweet.
that touching? It was so sweet, Ken. It
Well,
was.
it was the next day, and it was very raw, and I just wanted to go and sit in our booth, and that. So yeah, I miss her every day. Yeah.
Sam, do you remember Jake and Bobbie's wedding? Do you remember doing any of that? Is it all blur?
It's all a blur. And that does not reflect my experience of Jackie, being with Jackie, working with Jackie, because I really loved it. I'm telling you, it's because this gray hair sucks out my memory. I don't know what it is, but I do want to tell this one story about Jackie, and I think it tells a lot about Jackie. We went skydiving together. It was a first time for both of us. And I don't know who was there with us. Were any of you guys there with us? I don't remember. Brad, were you?
Not me. I wouldn't be doing that.
No, I'm from Texas.
No,
Well,
I would have gone with you guys.
she would have got that. She got on.
well, we went skydiving together. Of course, you go through the learning period, the training, and it's the same day. And then you get everything on, and you go up in the airplane. And as the airplanes go, now I was a pilot, so it wasn't the height that got me. But as you're going up further and further, you're looking down going, I don't believe I'm going to jump out of this airplane. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You're getting higher and higher. And we get to the point where they're saying, okay, is everybody ready? And okay, we're ready, And he says, okay, who wants to go first? And of course, there's that second or two where everybody looks at each other and you sort of go, okay, who's going to? Jackie didn't wait a second. She stood up, jumped right out of the airplane. And I think that told me about Jackie, whatever.
Fearless.
I didn't know. What?
Fearless.
She was that way. She was up to anything. And she would take the jump.
Brad, you are part of the most iconic, emotional storyline in soap opera history with BJ's heart transplant story. You and Jackie and Christina Wagner and Jack Wagner, everybody was so gut-wrenching in that. To this day, it is what brings everyone to tears when they see it, any clip. It is one of the most, it is right up there with the greatest story and acting performances in the history of General Hospital and of daytime. When I watch back those clips with Jackie, when Jackie, learns of what happened, her performance was so amazing. The only thing I wish she had gotten was an Emmy for that. just so she had that, because I know what it meant to her and how hard it was. And you were also, I mean, everyone remembers you putting your head, Tony putting the head on BJ's heart. Can you talk to me about working with her during that and those scenes and how difficult that was for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's several sides to it. One was, I mean, the writing was really extraordinary. And Jackie, like Sam and Ken said, was fearless. You know, she didn't mind going to the deepest parts of herself. But also, the day we did those scenes, soap operas work in a hurry, and they wanted to shoot the rehearsal. And so we actually shot most of that stuff. Like, they would block us and then they'd go ahead and roll. And part of that is really what worked for us, is because I don't think you can play that kind of stuff 2 or 3 or 4 times. You just gotta, put your head down and go for it. And it had very little to do with us. It had more to do with the spirit coming inside us.
And when you look back on it, do you ever watch it again or see the clips?
Not really. It's hard.
It's hard. It's hard. But do you remember Jackie's performance in it?
Yeah. She broke my heart.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you a sort of funny story is at one time, I'm pretty emotional. And one time we were doing a scene and she goes, Brad, how about you let me cry once? And I was like, you're so right. And it was just the best acting advice ever. And she said, you're a doctor, Brad. You're supposed to be strong for these people. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. But every time I was opposite her, I was always like, oh my God, you're incredible, So she was a wonderful figure for me to look up to.
Yeah, I just think she was a wonderful actress, and I just think she was so solid as an actress. Tristan, do you have a favorite scene or something you can recall, like working with her, something that sticks out?
Actually, I didn't do a lot of actual acting with her. There was no particular scene or storyline with me that she was front and center. They were too busy putting me in with Tony Geary and us doing that crazy stuff all the time. So I never really got to examine what it was like to work with her, to be honest with you. There was one goofy scene we had together where Luke sets Robert up to be the king of disco. And it was such a ridiculous scene that I think if it hadn't been for the fact that she said, all right, let's play this straight. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, it's stupid, but just play it straight. I think she got me through that. And that small scene always sticks in my mind. But yeah, I wished I'd had more. At one point after we started doing personal appearances together, a rumor started to go around that Robert and Jackie were going to be an item on the show, but it never happened.
Gotcha.
She was too busy stumbling over, Springsteen.
I'm surprised she had so many lovers. I'm crushed.
Wait, so she was married to three of you? Yeah. Tamara. When you were playing Carly to, and Bobbie, what was the relationship like between the two characters for those, was she, because they had a contentious relationship?
Mm-hmm. It was already better by the time I got there. They had healed all that. I think Sarah did all the stuff with I guess shooting Tony and all of that. I think they'd really worked through their stuff by the time I got there. And so when I got there, I remember it was like a month or so into my working that then they had me off, maybe a couple months. They had me off the air for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And then Carly was presumed dead. and she showed up at her own funeral. And I remember Jackie's was her Bobbie was very strong about Carly and her daughter not being dead and how she'd feel it and something along those lines. And I just remember those scenes, coming into the funeral home at her own funeral, and Jackie's eyes just like right in there with all the love of a mother seeing her daughter. But yeah, by the time that we worked together, the relationship was already stronger and loving. They still had their little moments, but it was kind of more loving. We didn't do a lot of contentious stuff, which was nice. because I mean, it's always fun to play that stuff, but I think it's really nice to have, especially on soap, for women to love each other, and especially for a mother and daughter relationship to be healed from having all that history too.
Rick, didn't Nurse Bobbie to hold on to Noah, didn't she fake blindness in order to keep him? Does that ring a bell?
I fake blindness?
She did, Bobbie. And then he eventually left town.
It sounds kind of familiar, but
Could be any old soap line.
It could be any
I
other
don't
thing.
have any real memory of that.
What do you remember about when you left the show? Was it difficult for you and Jackie at that time that you were going to be leaving the show?
No, it was just a kind of a move, in a life, really. It wasn't, I remember having a little send-off, where I think they gave me like a toiletry bag, a shaving bag or something. No golden watch. I hadn't been on there long enough. But yeah, it was. I still have photos somewhere. There's like Polaroids of a couple of us, there, and but it, I don't know. It was. I always felt like I would always see everybody. It was that kind of thing. It was like school. Yeah, we'll get summer holidays, but we'll hook up again, and after the holidays, whatever. So it was never like oh God, goodbye, I'll never see you again. So it wasn't really traumatic for me. It was kind of an exciting point in my life, and I was kind of, anxious to kind of get on with that. But yeah, I guess that kind of sums it up. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling a bit, but I always felt really close to her, and because she was, and you never really realize this until they're gone. I have a friend in Australia that was like this, was like her. We're very open, always wants to do things for you and support you and be help you be the best you can be, and you don't really realize it until they're gone, which totally blows. But that's kind of the nature of the beast, I guess.
And you and Jackie, did you have scenes with her that you guys just loved together? Do you remember anything particular that you guys would talk about, or like back in the day, back in the heyday? Was there anything in particular that she really liked doing?
Who, Jackie?
Yeah.
With scenes with me? Yeah.
Or still, back in the day, the heyday.
That day or this day,
The
or the
heyday.
day, any day.
The heyday.
These guys were all married to the Bobbie, and I finally, was going to propose. And when I went to propose, I had a foot cast on a scooter, and it was the silliest thing. And Jackie howled at the whole thing that I wheeled up and, said, "Bobbie, marry me." And she was like, "Just scoot off. This is silly." And it was silly, but she laughed about it. We always laughed about everything that we did down there because she took everything with a sense of humor, and so as good as she was, she could also, have as much fun with it all. And then talk about where we're going to lunch, and because she loved to eat as much as I do. So we were always talking about restaurants and what we're doing. So I don't think we took it very seriously down there. It was always, ever since I met Jackie and she jumped on my motorcycle, like Sam said, she was fearless, and she said, take me on your motorcycle. And, that was, we were friends for life. So everything was fun with her.
Sam, was it fun for you too with her all the time? Was that your recollection of the whole?
It was sheer joy.
Hmm.
She had that, she knew one of the secrets of, as Tamara was talking about, she knew that giving or supporting others unselfishly brings back more than you give. I mean, that was kind of her personality. That's who she was.
Completely.
Yeah. Tamara, same thing for you, right? She was just always there for you.
Always, she's always there for the people she loved. Always. I mean.
Yeah.
Well, to even things out, we must be able to come up with something negative about Jackie.
Okay, let's do it.
Is there anything?
Anything?
Is there anything?
You could outrun probably all of us. So that's negative.
Actually, she was the healthiest person on the set when I was there. I would
Oh.
get there early in the morning and she was always out there jogging. And
Yeah.
I was like, what? Okay. I mean, she was a complete healthy person.
Yeah.
Except for the
Even though
smoke.
she and Ken ate all the time.
Guys, I'm sorry, I have to go. I'd love to stay, but have got to go to work.
You got a show
Okay,
to do.
Rick.
You got to hit the stage.
Yeah, great to see you all. Tristan,
Thank
I'm
you,
sure
Rick.
I'll see
See
you.
you, bro.
Yeah.
Have a good show, Rick.
Thank you for stopping in and paying tribute to Jackie. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. Thank
God
you,
bless
Rick.
your spirit.
God bless her. Yes. Bye, Rick. Thank you. Brad, you had stayed in touch with Jackie through the years, or?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
not like Ken and her, every week or whatever, but we were just friends. I could see her, I saw her 3 years ago, and it was just like, and I hadn't seen her in 13 years. And it was just like, she didn't change really. She looked as pretty 13 years later as she did 13 years ago. She was just a very unusual, sweet person for me. It's hard for me to think of any bad stories. I can tell you a bad story about Ken if you would like.
Yes, please do.
So one day, because we were kind of friends, and he said, Brad, let's go out to lunch. We'd filmed in the morning. And so we went out for lunch. And while we're out for lunch, he goes, you need a shave, Brad. I got this barber. And he was about 90. And we went over there during lunch, and this barber gave me a great shave. And then while he was there, he went ahead and trimmed my hair. And then we went back to work. They were like, what have you done? You're a different human being right now. You're clean shaven and you have short hair. And Ken was like, I don't know what happened to him. He probably drank too much wine. I don't know. Ken, do you remember this story? You got me in
Well, of course I do. It was Don Caputo over there. And listen, the road is littered with actors that have listened to me,
Well, they shot
So
me from
you
behind
didn't
for
have
the
to-
rest of the day.
I just merely suggested it, and you bit.
Didn't have wine
Peer
for lunch.
pressure, peer pressure.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Tristan, you guys were also iconic with the show. Like I was telling Ken back in the heyday, it really was Tony, Jeannie, Ken, you, Jackie, everybody was so, it was such an amazing time in soap operas. Do you look back on that and think what an incredible?
I don't think about it now, but you bring up, it's interesting. I got to know Jackie after I left General Hospital. And this was through our children. I mean, she would have big birthday parties for her kids, and I'd take my kids over there, and they had toys up the yin yang, and it was just a great experience. But, I'll be honest with you, prior to that on the show, the only person who I knew was John Riley. he and I would hang out together. But beyond that, I didn't know anybody. I'd kind of decided that that may be what I should do. That hanging out with people after you'd worked with them may not be a good idea. So I didn't.
Tamara,
Well,
what,
none of you liked you. Sorry.
what'd you say? Sorry, Ken.
I said none of us really liked Tristan. That's why we didn't hang out with him.
But I didn't give a damn. So what the hell?
Tamara, what will you take with you always from Jackie that she leaves you with for you? We all, when we lose someone that we all love, I know this is hard, but you know, we all take something with us from them. And I want to know what, you know, what profound, how she affected your life, or something profound you remember about her that will stick with you.
So there's so much that I can't just choose one thing. Oh, my dog's having a weird thing. She, you know, her heart and her love and her friendship, I mean, it's in here, you know, like, and I don't feel, it's the weirdest thing. I had a dream after she passed. First, when I first heard, I was an absolute wreck, a mess, couldn't sleep. Woke up, went to work the next day. Was a mess, was just a mess. Came home, went to sleep, a mess, heartbroken. I woke up at peace because I had a dream and Jackie was in it. And she was there looking so beautiful and radiant in like a wine, oh, boo-boo, it's okay. In a wine colored dress. And she was just more beautiful than she's ever been. And there was such a sense of peace. And I woke up knowing she was fine and that she had work to do. I have lost a bunch of people in the past year. It's been kind of a hard year in terms of the people that I love. And I've had dreams where they've come, but I've never had anything like this. It was like, I'm fine. I have work to do. And so she's left me with a lot while she was here. But that to me was such a gift that she is, I mean, all of us here want her to still be here with us because and the people who are left behind, we grieve, we want as much time with the people that we love possible. But she gave me a gift that she's okay. She's busy working and I feel like she's all around. Like she has work to do. She's got such important work to do. And she is like an angel watching over everybody. And she's busy. She's not, there's no resting in peace. She is peace. And she's like sharing that and spreading that all over. I'm telling you, I know I may sound absolutely wackadoo right now, but it's what I went to sleep a mess and I woke up with peace because she made everything okay, you know.
That's beautiful. You know, I wanted to say, you know, putting this together and reporting on it and putting this tribute together and just seeing the beautiful photos of Jackie through the years. She was so beautiful. I mean, she was so beautiful. I would look at these pictures and I was like, you know, the one I used to promote this, I just thought was so great, but there's so many beautiful pictures of her. And I was so touched by looking at her through the years. You know, at least there's that repository. There's a remembrance of her, you know, everywhere. Sam, you said it's still hard for you to believe that she's actually passed. And do you struggle with this I suppose at this point, or how do you feel?
No, in general, I mean, we indulge in sorrowful feelings for our own benefits, and It was shocking, particularly how quickly it happened. But I don't know. It's I don't want.
It's okay.
I don't kind of feel sorry for that happening, for her, for that happening. That's all natural to me. I'm I don't want to say I would welcome my own death, but I've made my peace with life and death. And when that happens, that's a natural occurrence. And I feel that way about Jackie or anyone else I know that fulfills their life that, in finality. But it sure does bring thoughts back, wonderful thoughts of her back, and a little bit of regret in not taking more advantage of the time you can have while she's alive and spending more time with her. There is that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm at the age now where, a lot of people are going away.
Yes, yes, it's like all the time.
Yeah.
And it's, we were faced with that now a lot as we
Yeah.
on in years, Brad, what will her lasting memory be for you working with her and spending the time you did on General Hospital with her? What's your takeaway of knowing Jackie and getting to work with her so closely?
Well, I think the first memory that comes up to me is me on my knees asking her to get married. So, I sort of always worshiped her a little bit. So I guess that's what I'll continue to do.
Were you guys all, so you guys were all starstruck then, it seems like, with Jackie, right? Everybody
Still
was
am, sorry.
still out. Ken, what will be your lasting takeaway of your dear friendship with Jackie?
Well, on New Year's Eve, we went down the street to Vitello's and saw Billy Vera and the Beaters, and he dedicated a song, and he made some. He was a big fan of Jackie's first husband, Murray the K, and we went backstage and talked for about an hour about Murray and all of that stuff. And then Jackie and I came back to the house and sat in front of the house and just had talked for about an hour and a half about General Hospital and what we were going to do. So, she was so optimistic and was hoping for, a story and fun. And so, she was always upbeat about everything. And we were supposed to do an appearance in a month together. So, but I know that she would tell me that, Murray would come and visit her weekly and sit at the bed and talk to her. So she was very believed in the afterlife and that people, so, I think she's around all the time. So, I just assume that she's here. I just haven't seen her. So, but I know that she took me to a psychic back when we were kids. I said, oh, why we go to a psychic? And she believed in a lot of stuff. And she was always just full of life and spirited about everything. And, so I have nothing but, up until the end of the year, and when she was at the nurses' ball, right when she still had pneumonia, walking pneumonia, and she was still cranking out all of these lines. And she was a pro to the end, man. She didn't miss a beat. And she had, because she was sick, she had pneumonia and she didn't even know it. So she loved being Bobbie Spencer and being there. And that was what I love so much about Jackie, because she would always get so excited about upcoming scenes and stuff. So she was fun.
I believe, did Lynn Herring reach out to you to say a few words?
Yeah. She's up at, she doesn't get Zoom up where she lives with her horses up there, up in Northern California, but she wanted me to say, her, how much she enjoyed. And I think when she told me that, well, she said it at the memorial about Jackie taught her how to do a cat fight. She said, take your hand, put it on my hair. So she got, they were, and as Brad knows, they raised their kids together, and, they were very close too. So she was very upset about the whole thing, as we all are. And she's, she was crazy about Jackie as well.
And you were all at the memorial? Were most of you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tristan, how was that? Beautiful?
Oh, it was absolutely appropriate for the way it happened. It couldn't have been better if you'd sat back and orchestrated the whole thing. It was just, there's just such a great vibe out there about, all these people. Everybody had positive thoughts about her. Me, the one thing that always stood out in my mind was her spirit. She had this unique spirit about her. No matter how crappy things were or got on the show, and they did happen, she would just rise above it. And it was, I'd look at that and like, hell, I wish I could do that. I never could. But yeah, she was a wonderful person to be around, always positive, always just right for the moment. And she and I worked on the Bay together, and it was a different character. And I had a few scenes with her on that. And she was, I won't say she was the same. She did enough changes to the character that made it completely different. And you looked at it and you said, wait a minute, there's something different about what you're doing, but I can't put my finger on it. And she never did let on. But yeah, I'm going to miss her. Boy, am I going to miss her.
And you spoke at the funeral, is that correct? Or,
Who? Me?
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
Yes, I'm just for the, and by the way, thank you, all the fans that are here. I'm seeing all your messages. There's such beautiful comments. There's so many I would love to share with everybody. And I see them and I thank you, and your love is felt. I see all the hearts and all the love coming everybody's way that's here. They thank you. And for Jackie Kin, so you spoke, and
Yeah.
can you just sum up with, what can you tell everybody what can you say about that for you? Were you able to, must have been hard for you, I'm assuming.
I didn't know really what I was going to say. And then they were showing pictures of Jackie through the years. And one of the pictures was Jackie and I in my boat when we met Johnny Carson on the gas dock. And I kind of went off script, and then I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing. I could have used the teleprompter because I was all over the place, trying to focus on, because everybody had said all the stuff about Jackie. So I was, I thought I could just go, and I got a little, I think I went a little up, but I think I pulled it out. I don't know. It was tough.
It was beautiful. It
Oh,
was it was love, and you shared your heart and some stories. You made us laugh. You shared things that we didn't know, and you shared your heart and your love for her. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tamara. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So Brad, when you look back at your time on GH that you had with Jackie, and your popularity at the time, what was that like back then, being popular on the show and being paired with Jackie? You were in all the soap magazines, you were doing this. What was that like to experience that with her?
Sort of dreamlike in a lot of ways. A lot of times I didn't feel like, sometimes I wish I had been more present in those moments, because when you're out, like back in those days, when you would go out to a restaurant with her, there was paparazzi, and often they would go, Brad, can you move over just a little bit on Jackie, because she was a star. But it was always just, very cool. I got a little bit of that glitter, dust, gold on me, so it was fun.
Sam, did you have that experience? Did you do like any magazine covers with Jackie as Jake and Bobbie, or did you do photo shoots together, or no?
Yeah, I did one or two, but I definitely relate to what Brad is saying. I couldn't believe I came into General Hospital. I was not aware of how big it was. And the most amazing people would watch. I remember being on a love ride, motorcycle love ride, and this guy who you wouldn't want to meet in a lit alley, let alone a dark alley, shaved head, tattoos, the whole deal. He was walking up to me, and I'm thinking, what the hell did I do? And he goes, "You." I go, "Yeah." He says, "I like you." The guy watched General Hospital. I was blown away. And let me tell you, for your fans, it was a blast to work on that show. All the people involved, all the actors, everybody. It was like one big family.
And on that, Tamara, did Jackie give you any advice when you left General Hospital? Like, did you discuss any of that with her, or what?
Yeah, we talked about stuff.
You don't have to say. I'm just wondering, did she? But here, I'm just asking, like, is that a point?
She gave me advice about when I left, and she gave me advice, about like business stuff, but she gave me advice about life stuff too,
And when you came back to the show as Kim, was she there with you much?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, she kept going, God, I keep saying to Frank, you got to put us together. You got to have scenes, with us. So they did end up writing a scene, and we loved it. And it was kind of a little wink to the audience, because I think she says to me, I can't remember exactly what it was, but something about how, God, probably if you ask the fans, they would know. Because I do, with the gray that's covered up also affected my brain. But yeah, something about like how there was something, one of us said to the other, something about the other that just reminded us like we knew each other before, it was a little wink to the audience.
Oh, right. It's Kim and Bobbie. Yeah. Yes, there was that scene. Ken and Tristan, do you wish now, looking back now, I mean, I know you said, Tristan, you never really got to work with Jackie much in story, but in the later years, do you wish there would have been more scenes, Ken, with Bobbie and Scott?
Well, there was a point there where we started to get involved in a story. The things, Gloria was very whimsical. If she suddenly saw something that she didn't want to see, then out would come the pencil, and bang, that scene was gone. I guess I found myself in too many of those, because there was a couple of scenes that we had together, Jackie and I, that could have been developed and could have gone either way. It was like you came to a corner, you go left, you go right. Well, I went left. Well, I should have gone right. And there are a number of times when that sort of thing happened. So yeah, don't ask me to relate what they were, but yeah, I had a couple of moments like that where I could have found myself in more involved scenes with her. I mean, there was a talk, as I said before, there was talk of us being an item together, but then it didn't happen.
And when Gail died and Lee died, was Bobbie there for him? Did they have her in the story with him?
Yeah, she showed up, and for that scene, I was just going to say that when my grandmother, who raised me in Texas, when I started on the show, and every time I'd talk to my grandmother about General Hospital, all she'd say is, I just love that Bobbie Spencer character. I just love Bobbie Spencer. So she was a favorite of my grandmother's, and pretty much everybody said she really has just shined in the 70s and 80s and all the way through. So yeah, she was there for those scenes, and she was there for all the scenes, so yeah.
My point was, I always thought there was such a nice, beautiful touchstone when they in their, as they got on in life, when they would touch upon the history of the two, they were always there for each other as they got older, as things happened to them. And
yes,
I really love that they wrote that in, is my point, which I think reflected your real life relationship with Jackie as well.
Yeah. I think so. I think you're right, Michael.
Okay. I want to thank all of you for taking some time with me to celebrate Jackie and to pay tribute to her. And I want to thank everybody for watching and sending all the love to Jackie. Ken, thank you so much for helping me put this together. Tamara, I love you. Thank you for being here. Tristan, I really appreciate it. Sam, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you very much for being here. Brad, it's nice to see you again. I know you don't remember. It's great to see you again. And I just want to send, we love you, Jackie, so much. We love you so much. We're all trying to cope with your loss, but we know you're here with us, and you've made such an impact to the fans, to the audience, to everybody that's here. And we just want to tell you we love you and to thank you for all you brought to all of us. Colleagues, friends, the audience, the fans, you are one of a kind. Love you. We love you. Thank you all so much. Thank you to the fans. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
Hey,
Michael.
Michael, thanks for your persistence and diligence to put this together, because you really worked hard at this, and we all appreciate it. And I know that you were crazy about Jackie, so thanks for doing this.
I love Jackie. She was so wonderful. And I had a
Here.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Night, everybody.
Hi, guys.